how long were you on the waiting list to receive an organ?
I was on the waiting list for about 6 months.
Is that really short?
Yes. The average time is over 3 years
And
for a kidney.
so you think you're very lucky.
Yes, I was very lucky.
And who gave you this organ, or do you know?
My good friend Pete Rogers donated the organ to me. We have been friends since we were in 5th grade.
And how did you figure out that he could donate his kidney to you?
Well, when I realized I needed a kidney, let my friends know, and he went and got tested to see if he was a match. He did not tell me he was doing it. But he knew what hospital I was registered through, so he went through the test. I knew someone was being tested because I had to give blood to compare against his blood, but they never told me who was being tested for me.
Yeah, and what are some of the things that you have to match up to get the right organ or kidney?
The first thing has to be the right blood type. I'm O positive, so it had to be somebody who's O positive or O negative. So O negative is the rarest to receive a match for. So I was very rare, but that's the first thing they do. If you're not that blood type, they don't even start. And then they test you for specific antigens and proteins in the blood. And the more that match, the better chances that there will be a successful transplant.
And would you say that, how many people do you think were tested to get your organ?
I know 2 were tested. I don't think there were more. I know a lot of people were looking into it, but I received a match so quickly that only 2 had time to be tested.
Yeah, I know my mom got tested, but she was not the right match.
Yes.
And how does this affect your daily life?
Well, of course, I no longer need dialysis. That's the biggest change. But kidney transplant is not a cure by any stretch of the imagination. It is a treatment. So I have to take a lot of medication to prevent my body from rejecting the kidney because my body sees the kidney as a foreign object, like a cold germ. And it will attack it and destroy it if I don't take medication to prevent that from happening.
Yes, and did this this definitely helped you of getting out of the hospital. So did it compared to when you were you didn't know you had a failing kidney to getting a new one before you went to the hospital, how did that lifestyle change?
I was a lot more active before the kidney transplant. Right now, I can tell I have a chronic illness. Before, I didn't know it. I don't know if it was all in my mind because it's constantly on my mind. I have daily reminders because I have to take medication twice a day. But it's better than dialysis by any stretch.
And would you in the future consider donating your organs?
I wanted to, but since the medication I take, I'm no longer eligible. I've tried to donate bone marrow, but I can't.
What about a whole body donation after your death?
What, for organs? I think that I can't.
For medical research?
I would consider that. If that would help. If it would help some other people, then I would.
Yes, and feel indebted to Mr. Pete for his donation, or are you okay?
I feel indebted. I can't ever pay them back, so I try to pay it forward. I try to do things to help other people and bring awareness to the problem of kidney failure, and I volunteer with people who are on the transplant list waiting kidneys, so I talk with them to let them know what to expect. And I also have volunteered at dialysis clinics to go in and talk with people, help keep people company sometimes when they're hooked up to the machine, just because you got to be hooked up 4 hours to help them pass the time.
And how long did like the overall donation take? Like
The
from-
surgery,
yeah,
or
the
from when I
surgery.
found out?
The surgery.
I believe my surgery was about 3 or 4 hours, because I went in. They took me down to pre-op about noon, and then they start giving you medication. So time, kind of lose track of time because you're not allowed to wear a watch and you can't see a clock, and you're medicated, so everything starts sort of blending. And I woke up about 6:30 to 7 o'clock that night, fully awake. So I think I was in the post-op recovery room about 4 o'clock.
Okay. If Mr. Pete hadn't been a match, would you have been put on a waiting list?
I was on the waiting list.
Okay.
That was you go on the waiting list to see if, that's when you have to be approved. I had to go through the whole process of meeting with doctors to see if I were healthy enough, if I had the right mindset to receive an organ. Because what they don't want to do is, if I were a heavy smoker, drinker, and did drugs, they don't want to give me a kidney because they're so valuable and so rare. They don't want to give it to somebody who will just waste that opportunity.
So if you were on the waiting list, do you think you would still be in the hospital?
I would not be in the hospital. I'd still be on dialysis.
Yeah.
It's been almost 7 years since my transplant, so I'd like to think that I would have had a match by now. Like I said, the average time is a little over 3 years, so
Yeah.
I think that I would have already had my transplant, but receiving transplants from living donors, they're much more successful than transplant from deceased donors.
And do you have any more comments? Or do you suggest to everyone to go out and become a donor and sign up?
Yes, if I don't want to use the term brave enough to be a living donor, at least sign up and be an organ donor on your driver's license, and tell people about it. Tell your parents or your wife or husband or somebody who can explain to the doctors if something terrible happened to you, that you want to donate your organs. Because if it's just on your license, they may or may not follow through with your wishes.
So you highly support the nation of donation,
Yes, I do.
and if you were able to, you would donate your organs in the future. And
I will. I believe I can still donate, like cornea and things like that, but I just can't donate like blood or tissue.
you have anything else?
Not at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.